Now, maybe what I said about Frank not having the rehydration clause went over Tankamaniac's heads. So let me break it down mathematically for you guys. Let's talk.
Straighter, not a roundhouse right hand.
And that's what we've been talking about. The straight shot is the one where he gets leverage on it.
I don't want to kill
Pull
somebody
back
for
a little
few
bit.
seconds.
Nah, I want a body on my record.
Now, I want to see you fight motherfuckers. I do. All right, I'm with you. I'm with you. As long as you're trying to fight the great, the best competition.
So Frank Martin has no rehydration clause, and people, Tank fans, Tankamaniacs, Devin Haney haters, act like there's nothing wrong with that because Frank Martin is going to weigh 135 pounds. I don't know what school you all went to, but let me do this for you guys visually so you guys can see this with flashcards and shit. If fighter A weighs in at 135 pounds, fighter B weighs in at 140 pounds, fighter C weighs in at 147 pounds, and fighter D weighs in at 130 pounds. On fight night, fighter A weighs 165. On fight night, fighter B weighs 165. On fight night, fighter C weighs 165. And oh, by the way, on fight night, fighter D weighs 165. Then, if you are upset or scared of a fighter weighing 165, then what you do is put a rehydration clause on fighters so they don't weigh 165. So if you can fight a fighter who weighs in on Thursday or Friday at 135, and then on fight night weighs 165, then there is no difference from fighting a fighter who weighed 140 on Thursday or Friday and then 165 on fight night. There is no difference from fighting a fighter who weighs 135 on Thursday or Friday and then fights on fight night at 165. There is no difference from fighting a fighter who weighs 130 on Thursday or Friday and then weighs in on fight night at 165. There is literally no difference in any of these guys at all without a rehydration clause. If you are so tiny, so pequeño, so incy, wincy, teensy, wincy, little tiny, small, you can make 130. You can make 126. You can make 108. You can make 54 pounds. Okay, cool. If that's the concern for Tankamaniacs, then anybody you fight should have a rehydration clause on them so that they don't get to 165 on fight night? Anybody? Because if a fighter weighing 165 on fight night is such a problem for you guys, then again, I don't know what school you guys went to, but if you weigh 130 in the weigh-in, if you weigh 135 for the weigh-in, if you weigh 140 for the weigh-in, but then on fight night, you weigh 165, then there is literally no fucking difference at all. Literally none. The starting point. If you start at 130, if you start at 135, if you start at 140, if you start at 147, it's totally fucking irrelevant if your finish point, all of you motherfuckers are going to finish at 165. So then a rehydration clause is totally fucking irrelevant, you fucking retards. Again, I do not know what school y'all graduated from. I don't know. I'm not knocking the educational system in the state of your birth. What I am telling you is if I give you a head start in a race and we all finish at the exact same time, if you are so worried about where you're finishing, then you limit the head start by putting a rehydration clause on it. You limit that, because if you're starting at 135 and somebody else is starting at 140, but the length of the race is 165, well, then it's up to you to put a rehydration clause so that you don't have to run farther distance to get to 165. Yeah, you just put a rehydration clause, which essentially makes the race the exact same length. Yeah, I'm running 40 feet. You're running 40 feet. They're running 40 feet. Now, it doesn't matter if you start at 130, 135, 140, or 147. We're all running 40 feet to get to 165. Now, my start at 130 is going to, if you look at it linearly, we're not all on the same line. So my start at 130 to get to this 40 feet is going to finish sooner than your start at 135 or 140 to move 40 feet. I probably went, once again, I am not knocking the educational system in whatever state, city, county, or district that anybody listening to my voice, anybody, I'm not knocking the system, I'm not. What I am telling you is a rehydration clause is put on fighters so that fighters don't have to run a 40-meter dash or a 40-yard dash, whatever. They don't have to run that 40-yard dash in only 15 steps, 25 steps. Yeah, because if we're all running a 40 and you're starting way back there, you're starting 10 meters behind me, but we're all getting to 165. I'm starting at 140, you're starting at 130, he's starting at 135, and he's starting at 147. Well, the guy starting at 147 doesn't have as many meters to run. The guy starting at 140 doesn't have as many meters to run as 130 and 126, and he has more than 147. The guy at 135, the same thing. Yeah, he's got to run more meters than the guy at 140 and the guy at 147. But he's got to run less meters than the guy at 130. The guy at 130 has to run 35 meters to get to 165. 35 meters. That's 40 meters right there. That's the 40 meter dash. If we're running a 40 meter, none of them are running 40 meters, but you get what I'm saying. Well, probably y'all don't, because y'all are. If you want to ensure that everybody is running the same distance, the guy who's starting at 130 to get to 165 needs to make sure they put a rehydration clause on there. 35 pounds. Because they're all going as 165. Everybody will weigh 165. Everybody. They're all going to weigh that. So then we want to make sure 35 pound weight limit, 35 pound rehydration clause. The guy who's starting at 135, if you're going to finish at 165, then you want to make sure you put a 30 pound rehydration clause. The guy at 140, you want to make sure that you put a 25 pound rehydration clause. Yeah, and the guy at 147, yeah, you want to make sure you do the same. You put on the rehydration clause that locks a person into, if 165 is where y'all going after rehydrating, because the average person rehydrates 20 to 25 pounds after they weigh in, the average boxer. Yeah, I know this because I actually know real life boxers. And real life boxers will tell you the average boxer rehydrates 20 to 25 pounds. That's the reason why Gervonta Tank Davis weighed in at 130 when he fought Leo Santa Cruz and then rehydrated to 152 pounds. That's that 20 to 25 pounds right there. I don't know what educational system you guys grew up in, but every boxer average rehydrates 20 to 25 pounds. Tank Davis fought Leo Santa Cruz at 130. He weighed 152. That means he rehydrated 22 pounds. In between 20 and 25 is 21, 22, 23, and 24. There was nothing special about what anybody did. Anybody. So what you guys are saying is Frank Martin can weigh 180 on fight night, like Rolly Romero did. Frank can weigh 180 as long as he touches the scales on Thursday or Friday at 135 pounds. So if Frank can weigh 180 on Saturday when he fights Tank, if he can do that without a rehydration clause, then there's no point in a rehydration clause for anybody. You guys, not Tank Davis, because Tank has never said this. Tank maniacs who are scared to death of Devin Haney are running around talking about Devin needs to be on a rehydration clause because Devin weighed 165 pounds on fight night to fight Regis Prograis, which he didn't, but whatever. Whatever. Cool. That's what he weighed. He weighed 165 pounds to fight Regis Prograis. Fine. Cool. If that's what y'all want to run with, cool. It's not the truth, but that's what you want to run with. Run with it. Doesn't matter to me. Run with it. So Devin gained 25 pounds. No problem. No problem. So what you guys are saying is that Devin can't gain 25 pounds, but Frank Martin can gain 25 pounds. Now, I understand that all of this may went over your fucking head. Or maybe it didn't go over your head and you're just scared to death of Devin Haney and you refuse to fucking admit it. That either one doesn't matter to me. Either one. Either you understood what I'm saying. If Tank Davis is so small and so pequeño and frail and all this other shit and such a tiny dude, okay, then Frank Martin should have a fucking rehydration clause on him to not allow him to blow up to 165. He should not be allowed to blow up 25, 30 pounds on fight night to fight Tank Davis. Because if you are allowing this man to blow up 25 to 30 pounds on fight night because you have no rehydration clause, then the rehydration statement on Devin Haney is some pussy ass bitch made shit for one fighter and one fighter alone. Devin Haney needs to have that. Oh no, BFTB, Mario Barrios had it too. Mario Barrios, Devin Haney. Sounds to me like Gervonta Tank Davis was scared to death of Mario Barrios, Ryan Garcia, and Devin Haney. Now, once again, Gervonta Tank Davis himself has never said this. So I'm not going to put that jacket on him, but I said Tank because you guys speak for him. He don't be speaking at all. You guys don't hold him accountable to none of his words anyway. You guys speak for him as if y'all his motherfucking spokesman. Nah, he needs to have a rehydration clause and a catch weight because Devin blows up 100 to 165 pounds. Devin's a middleweight. Okay, so what you guys are saying is Gervonta Tank Davis can fight middleweight Frank Martin, who can blow up to however big he wants. But he can't fight middleweight Devin Haney. Middleweight Devin Haney has to make sure that he stays, that they put a rehydration clause on him so that he only can gain 10 pounds. Or 5 pounds. Or 3 pounds. Or whatever the fuck Tank feels like. But Frank Martin can be a middleweight, a super middleweight, a fucking heavyweight if he wants to. No problem for Frank Martin. Frank Martin can come to the fight a $190 and nobody would care. But Devin can't be a $165. Yeah, you guys try to figure out that math. BFTB, shout to the mighty LDBC. I'm out.